Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling something pretty significant in modern defense.
We are. It's all about how the Department of Defense, the DoD, is actually buying cloud computing resources.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in today's world, modern warfare, making quick, data-driven decisions, keeping that tech edge, it all really hinges on the cloud, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And, for you listening, if you want to really get a solid understanding of this without drowning in technical jargon, well, that's what we're aiming for.
Think of this as your efficient briefing, a shortcut into a really critical, maybe complex area of defense acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission for this deep dive, understand the strategy, the whole approach the DoD acquisition workforce needs when they go out to procure cloud resources.
And we'll look at the different ways they're doing it, the implications, the why behind it all.
Right. And we're going to focus on, what, 4 key strategies?
That's the plan. We'll hit the Joint Warfighting Cloud Capability, JWCC, then the Air Force's Cloud One, the Army's approach, CARMI, which is run by XMA, their Enterprise Cloud Management Agency.
Got it.
And finally, the Navy's Neptune initiative.
All right, let's unpack this, starting with maybe the big one, the foundation, JWCC.
Yeah, GWCC. It's really central to the DoD's enterprise cloud picture right now.
Yeah.
And, to really get a handle on it, it helps to look back a bit.
At JDI.
Exactly. The Joint Enterprise Defense Infrastructure. That was meant to be this single huge cloud contract, but it got, tangled up in controversy.
A lot of controversy.
And it eventually canceled back in 2021. I think the big lesson learned from all that was, okay, we need something different, something more flexible.
And that different path led to JWCC, which is multi-vendor, multi-cloud. So what's the core strategy there, the main goal?
The basic strategy for JWCC is to give the whole DoD a direct route to buy commercial cloud services, but from a specific group of major providers.
Right.
Its main purpose, connecting everything, the entire defense information enterprise, across all security levels, unclassified right up to top secret.
Wow. And spanning everywhere from strategic headquarters down to the warfighter at the tactical edge.
That interconnectivity sounds crucial, especially for things like JDC2.
Absolutely vital for JADC2 and also for their big pushes in AI and data acceleration, the ADA initiatives.
So who are the providers in JWCC and what kind of services are we talking about?
The initial contracts, I went to 4 big names: Amazon Web Services, AWS, Google, Microsoft, and Oracle.
The usual suspects?
Pretty much. It's set up as an IDIQ contract.
Yeah.
Indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. So the DoD issues specific task orders when they need something.
Flexible.
Right. And the scope of services is really broad. They call it ZOS, everything as a service. So that includes the basic building blocks, infrastructure like compute and storage.
I give you out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then platforms for building and running apps, power NAS, and even ready-made software SaaS.
Okay.
And importantly, all this stuff needs to be available across all those security classifications and even work in tough spots, like where connectivity is, denied, degraded, intermittent,
Yeah.
DDIL environments. That sounds incredibly comprehensive. A huge undertaking.
Mm.
What are the main strengths people point to with JWCC?
Well, a big plus is that direct access to the big cloud service providers, the CSPs.
Cuts out the middleman.
Potentially.
Yeah.
It could lead to faster provisioning, maybe better pricing. It's also the bedrock, the foundation for those critical modernization efforts we mentioned, JADC2, AI acceleration.
Right.
And being able to work across all security levels out to the tactical edge, that's huge for global operations. Plus, the multi-vendor part gives them flexibility, choice.
So they can pick the best tool for the job from different providers.
Precisely. It's not just about avoiding being locked into one vendor. It's about using, say, AWS's strengths in infrastructure, maybe Azure for enterprise stuff, Google for AML, Oracle for databases. That kind of targeted approach, that's where the real strategic value could lie.
Makes sense. But something this big, this complex, there've got to be downsides,
Yeah.
challenges.
Oh, absolutely. Managing a multi-vendor and multi-classification environment, that's inherently complex.
Technically challenging.
Technically, yes, getting different services to talk to each other smoothly, data integration, that sort of thing. But also from a governance perspective.
Oh, so?
Like enforcing consistent security policies across different clouds, managing all the different contracts. It's a lot. And then there's the fact they're already planning the sequel, JWCC Next.
Which suggests the current one isn't quite the final answer.
It suggests it might not cover all the future needs they anticipate. The idea with JWCC Next, from what we understand, is to bring in whole cloud ecosystems, maybe third-party marketplaces, even smaller, more specialized vendors.
And I think I saw something about workforce issues maybe delaying JWCC Next.
Yes, that's been reported.
Yeah.
Challenges within DISA, the Defense Information Systems Agency, which manages a lot of JWCCC, might be pushing back the timeline for JWCC Next. The original target was, September 2027? That might slip.
Okay, so who's actually in charge? Who oversees JWCC day-to-day?
Strategically, it's the DoD Chief Information Officer, the CIO. They set the direction and have actually mandated that DoD components use JWCC as the main route for enterprise cloud.
So it's policy.
It's policy. Operationally, it's DISA's Hosting and Compute Center, or HACC. They handle the database management, help customers navigate the system, and liaise with the cloud providers. They've got a website, hacc.mil, and a customer portal.
Right, so JWCC is like this main procurement highway for the whole DoD. But you said it's an acquisition vehicle, not a fully managed service itself. What does that mean for, say, the Air Force or the Army?
That's a really key distinction. JWCC provides the contract, the access, but the individual services often need their own specific programs to actually build out, manage, and secure their cloud environments using that access.
Oh, okay.
Which is exactly where things like the Air Force's Cloud One come in. Because JWCC is so broad, it makes sense that the services need something more tailored, maybe easier to manage for their specific missions.
Okay, perfect transition. Let's dig into Cloud One then. What's the Air Force's strategy there?
So Cloud One is the Air Force's own multi-cloud, multi-vendor enterprise cloud. It's primarily for the Department of the Air Force, so Air Force and Space Force, but other DoD parts can use it too.
And the strategy?
It's really about modernization, getting rid of old legacy systems, migrating them to the cloud to boost warfighting capabilities, reducing that technical debt.
Right, the cost of keeping old stuff running.
Exactly. They want Cloud One to be the main entry point for their mission owners who need commercial cloud.
And the purpose connects back to, like, strategic competition. Great power competition.
Precisely. Cloud One is seen as a key enabler for that, providing secure, accessible data and mission systems to compete effectively. It's meant for everything from business systems up to critical weapons systems.
So what are the core features? What does Cloud One actually offer?
Well, it's multi-cloud, so access to AWS, Azure, initially Google Cloud, and they plan to add Oracle. A really central piece is their managed services model, kind of a platform as a service, or PaaS.
PaaS, okay.
It comes with these pre-approved security controls. They call them guardrails.
Guardrails. I like that.
Yeah, the idea is it lets application teams focus on building their apps, not managing the underlying plumbing. It handles things like auto-scaling, backups, updates, monitoring.
And security authorizations.
Big benefit there. You can inherit a good chunk, like 40% on day one, of the necessary security controls, the authority to operate, or ATO. That speeds things up considerably.
Now, Cloud One often gets mentioned alongside Platform One. What's the relationship there? They're not the same thing.
No, they're distinct but related. Think of Cloud One as providing the fundamental infrastructure, the IaaS layer, and different security levels.
The rows and pipes.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Platform One, or P1, is the Air Force's DevSecOps managed service. It's the software factory, basically.
Oh, yeah.
It provides the secure tools and platform for developing and deploying software fast. Things like Iron Bank for secure containers, Big Bang for setting up DevSecOps environments quickly, and P1 runs on Cloud One's infrastructure.
Got it. Cloud One is the base. P1 builds on top. You got it.
Now, the procurement side of Cloud One, that's seen some turbulence recently.
Yeah, it's been quite dynamic. Initially, they worked with contractors like SAIC for migration help. Then for the next phase, Cloud One Next, they planned this modular approach with different vendors.
And Accenture got a big piece of that.
They did, back in September 2024. But then, just this past April, the DoD canceled a large chunk of that Accenture contract.
Why? Cost cutting.
That was the stated reason.
Yeah.
Part of broader DoD cuts. And they said they assessed that DoD personnel could do the work more efficiently. It points to this bigger trend, maybe, towards insourcing some of this IT management work.
Bring it back in-house to save money and maybe gain more control.
Potentially. Trying to reduce reliance on expensive external consultants for core functions, perhaps develop that expertise internally.
Interesting shift. So despite these procurement changes, what are Cloud One's established strengths? What does it do well? Well, they've shown real capability in security. Things like implementing zero trust architecture, secure shared services like Sabre for working with coalition partners.
That's important.
Definitely. They've also shown speed and agility in modernizing systems. There was this example of a flight plan processing program that got like 286% faster after moving to Cloud One.
Wow.
The managed services, shared resources, those bring cost efficiencies too. Plus, they talk about a human-centered approach, building a community with government and vendors. And they have migrated a lot of critical systems like CBC2 for the Advanced Battle Management System, ABMS.
Okay, but what about the weaknesses?
Yeah.
The current challenges, especially with that contract disruption?
Well, that reliance on contractors, which is now disrupted, is a big one. Canceling the Accenture work creates uncertainty, a potential skills gap. Transitioning that work in-house successfully, that's a major challenge.
And the instability itself.
Procurement instability like that, yeah, it can definitely mess up long-term planning, potentially slow things down. And Cloud One isn't immune to those broader DoD challenges the GAO points out.
Right, the ones we keep hearing about.
Yeah, workforce skills gaps, inconsistent cost tracking, how they measure cloud spending, restrictive software licenses, not having a full plan for rationalizing all their applications.
General adoption hurdles, too. Yeah, FedRAMP approvals, data portability.
Of all those things. Cultural barriers sometimes, too. Getting comfortable with consumption-based buying.
And how does Cloud One mesh with JWCC now? That relationship seems pretty key.
It is. The thinking, at least from the former Air Force CIO, was that Cloud One remains the front door for Air Force users, but they might use JWCC to get better prices on the underlying infrastructure, the compute and storage.
So Cloud One provides the managed environment, but buys the raw resources via JWCC.
That seems to be the direction. Kind of a value-added layer on top of JWCC. There's also been talk about moving Platform One under JWCC to leverage its multi-CSP setup, though data sovereignty concerns would need careful handling there.
Makes sense.
And ultimately, that DoD CIO mandate to use JWCC for enterprise cloud, that's going to shape how Cloud One acquires its foundational services going forward.
All right, let's pivot to the Army. CARMI, managed by ECME. What's their strategy?
The Army's play with ECME and CARMI is really focused on simplifying things, standardizing,
Right.
optimizing how the whole Army adopts cloud.
Clearing the path, basically.
Exactly. Reducing barriers to migration. It lines up directly with their big Army digital transformation strategy. They see cloud as fundamental from modernizing for AI, for better data analytics.
And the core purpose of CARMI itself.
It's about providing common stuff. Shared cloud services, reliable global connectivity, cybersecurity services, the CSSP function for all Army apps and data in the cloud.
Across different security levels.
Yep. Designed for IL2 up to IL6. ECME's overall mission is really about driving innovation at scale, using this secure, flexible, multi-cloud setup.
So what are the key pieces? What services does CARMI offer?
The heart of it is the CARMI General Purpose Cloud. It's multi-cloud, hybrid, mainly using AWS and Azure, offering both IS and Palais.
Okay.
A big emphasis is on those common shared services. They have, I think, 31 right now, centrally managed to cut costs and make it easier for Army units to get started.
Shared services are usually a good way to save money.
Definitely. They're also big on DevSecOps. They have DSOS DevSecOps services and create the Cloud Rapid Application Environment.
What do those do?
They provide a whole suite of tools and predefined paths to get cloud-native software into production faster and more securely.
Accelerating development.
Right. And they also have this tool called Camo Cloud Account Management Optimization.
Camo. What's that for?
It's designed to wrangle all the different cloud instances the Army might have spun up over time, consolidate them, and optimize the costs, trying to get a better handle on spending.
Okay. How does the Army actually buy the cloud resources for CARMI?
They're working on setting up their own centralized contracts to make it easier for Army organizations. But crucially, they also use JWCC.
Ah, so they tap into that main DoD vehicle too.
Absolutely. For example, they recently gave a task order to Oracle through JWCC for compute and storage. So JWCC is definitely part of their mix.
What would you say are the main strengths of the Army's CARMI approach?
Security is paramount for them, a clear strength. Also, that focus on standardization and optimization across the force.
Consistency.
Right. The common shared services model is strong, reducing duplication and cost. And their DevSecOps enablement through DSOS and Create is a big plus. Plus, that focus on cost transparency with Camo. Fiscal responsibility seems key.
And the weaknesses or challenges for Carmi, are they similar to the others?
Largely, yes. They're likely facing those same broad DoD cloud challenges from the GAO reports: cybersecurity, FedRAMP hurdles, procurement complexities like SLAs, workforce skills, cost tracking.
And the GAO specifically mentioned the Army on cost tracking, right?
Yeah.
They did, saying the Army wasn't consistently following best practices there. A specific challenge for the Army, given its sheer size and diversity, is balancing those enterprise standards with the unique needs of different commands.
Like legacy systems or tactical requirements.
Exactly. You have so many different units, missions, old systems. Enforcing standardization across all that is tough. CAMO probably helps address some of the fragmentation from earlier adoption efforts.
Okay, last one of the four. The Navy's Neptune. What's their strategic aim?
Neptune is the Department of the Navy's, Navy and Marine Corps single gateway, the one-stop shop for acquiring and delivering cloud services.
A unified front door.
That's the idea. It comes directly from their 2020 Dawn cloud policy, which called for multi-cloud, multi-vendor, using enterprise services where possible, and centralizing management. Neptune itself was formally set up in June 2023 to speed up cloud adoption.
And the main goals behind Neptune.
Simplify and automate how Navy and Marine Corps users find and use cloud services. They want to cut down developer setup time, lower costs for users, and really boost data access and mobility for warfighters. Better operational effectiveness is the end goal.
What features or services does Neptune offer?
They have the Neptune Cloud Portal. It's been upgraded to provide guided access to DoD clouds, commercial clouds, AWS, Azure, Google, Oracle, across different security levels.
Will they link to the other services clouds too?
Yes, it also provides access points to Carmi and Cloud One. A key feature is their Cloud Concierge team.
Concierge. Sounds helpful.
It's meant to be. Personalized support, focused on the mission, helping Dawn customers plan their cloud journey and implement things securely and efficiently.
And it supports specific Navy programs.
Yeah, it plays a big role there. For instance, helping NIWC Pacific migrate to JWCC for their R&D cloud, which supports Project Overmatch.
Project Overmatch, that's the Navy's piece of JGC2, right? Distributed Maritime Operations.
Exactly. So Neptune is facilitating cloud adoption for those really key modernization efforts.
How does Neptune handle the actual procurement side for the Navy?
It's really positioned as that central gateway, the single dawn point for all cloud acquisition. A major function is helping Navy and Marine Corps organizations use JWCC effectively.
So it facilitates access to JWCC rather than being a separate contract vehicle itself.
That seems to be the primary model. That NIWC Pacific example using JWCC really illustrates Neptune acting as the enabler.
What are Neptune's strong points?
The streamlined access, the user experience, focus with the portal and the concierge service. That customer-centric support model is a definite plus.
Tailored guidance.
Right. And it aligns with the overall multi-cloud, multi-vendor strategy, giving users flexibility and choice. The goal is also efficiency and potential cost savings by making things easier.
And the weaknesses or challenges for Neptune?
Again, those common DoD-wide cloud hurdles: cybersecurity, procurement, workforce, cost tracking, licensing, they face those too.
Any Navy-specific issues?
Well, the GAO has pointed out broader systemic challenges in Navy acquisition, generally things like cost growth and delays in shipbuilding. While not directly cloud, those kinds of systemic issues could potentially ripple out and affect IT modernization efforts.
Interesting point.
And compared to maybe Carmi or Cloud One, Neptune seems more focused on being a facilitator and guide rather than deep technical management.
Less hands-on.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Which might mean challenges in driving standardization and interoperability across the whole Dawn. Strong governance will be really important for them.
Okay, so looking across all four, JWCC, Cloud One, Carmi, Neptune, what are the big picture takeaways, the common threads, the different paths?
You definitely see this multi-layered strategy, right?
Yeah.
JWCC at the enterprise level providing the foundation, then the service-specific initiatives tailoring things for their unique missions.
Different primary strategies, though.
Yeah, JWCC is about enterprise acquisition. Cloud One and Carmi are more about providing managed environments. Neptune is more of a facilitator, especially for JWCC access. Their initial procurement paths differed more, but now there seems to be more convergence around using JWCC strategically for infrastructure.
How does that balance work? enterprise needs via JWCC versus specific service missions.
It's a constant balancing act. JWCC is horizontal, foundational, meeting broad needs. The service initiatives are vertical, tailored. Like we said before, JWCC is the department store, the services are the personal shoppers.
Finding the right fit for their users.
Exactly. And there can be tension, right, between enterprise mandates and service autonomy. The Air Force CIO's comments about Cloud One maybe getting better pricing via JWCC kind of illustrate that tension.
And the mission focus reflects this. JWCCC is broad, the others are specific.
Absolutely. JWCC supports basically any DoD mission need. Cloud One is focused on airspace readiness, Carmi on land warfare digital transformation, Neptune on Dawn naval modernization.
Depth versus breadth.
Right. Cloud One supporting ABMS, Neptune supporting Project Overmatch. Those are examples of that deep mission-specific focus built on top of or alongside the broader enterprise capability.
And the procurement models. You mentioned convergence, but also changes with contractors.
JWCC is that central IDIQ. Cloud One is moving away from relying heavily on primes like Accenture towards more insourcing and using JWCC directly. Carmi uses its own contracts and JWCC task orders. Neptune mainly facilitates JWCC use.
So less reliance on single, massive management contracts.
That seems to be the trend, disintermediating the big primes, more government responsibility for integration, maybe using more specialized support contracts for specific tasks.
What about common strengths across the board and unique advantages?
Security is a top priority everywhere. Handling multiple classification levels, supporting the tactical edge, those are common strengths.
And the unique ones.
JWCC offers that sheer breadth of services and direct CSP access. Cloud One shines in mission-critical support, security posture, agility. Garmi's strengths are those common services and DevSecOps focus. Neptune stands out with user-centric support and the streamlined portal.
Conversely, the common weaknesses, shared burdens, and the specific hurdles.
They all wrestle with those GAO-identified challenges: cyber, procurement, workforce, cost tracking, software licensing. That's a shared burden.
Specific hurdles.
For JWCC, it's the complexity and the evolution to JWCC next. For Cloud One, it's the procurement instability and making insourcing work. For Carmi and Neptune, it's really driving adoption and standardization across huge, diverse organizations.
And maybe a risk of fragmentation if we're not careful.
Definitely. That unseen cost of fragmentation, which is why things like the DoD Cloud FinOps strategy are important, trying to bring some coherence to how cloud is managed and paid for across the board.
Finally, how integrated are these service initiatives with JWCC? How tight is that link?
It seems increasingly tight. JWCC is the foundation. Cloud One intends to use it more for infrastructure. Carmi already uses it directly for some things. Neptune's main job is facilitating its use.
So the model is service environments as value-added layers on JWCC infrastructure.
That appears to be the dominant model emerging, yeah. And the DoD CIO's directives are pushing things in that direction.
So wrapping up our deep dive today, it's clear the DoD's cloud procurement strategy isn't simple. It's complex, multifaceted, but absolutely critical. A mix of enterprise frameworks and service-specific tailoring.
Absolutely. And hopefully for you listening, the different strategies, JWCC, Cloud One, Carmi, Neptune, their purposes, strengths, and weaknesses are much clearer now.
Definitely. So here's a final thought to leave you with. What are the real long-term challenges in balancing something centralized like JWCC with the very specific, fast-changing tech needs of the individual military services? And as the DoD pushes towards more insourcing of IT functions, what does that mean for innovation? For the speed they can actually adopt new tech down the road?
Those are definitely the big questions to keep watching. We encourage you to explore the sources further and keep thinking critically about this constantly evolving landscape of defense tech procurement.